Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Jack and Flobo, and we are wrestling with your questions. We're coming to you live from the world famous Southern California. And if we got a show for you, we've got all of your questions lined up, going from things like who's going to be a new movie star, what's going on with the NFL draft, and of course, all that good wrestling coverage. But before we get started, as always, I like to introduce my scrumptious hosts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Mr. What's Up Flobo himself. Flobo, Boyce, how you doing, buddy?
I am good, and I am scrumptious, and I have my own action figure as of yesterday. I saw it on Instagram. Have my own action figure. Can you believe that?
I saw that. Is he nearby? I feel like Flobito should be the name of the mini.
I know it's on it. It's literally on a pedestal. Let's see if I can bring it here.
Yeah, it's so cool, and so tell me. So Flobo, tell me a bit about what do you call him? Is it Flobo? I guess it says Flobo. So that's Flobo. You're Flobito now.
I guess so. Yeah, it came in the mail yesterday. It was during NXT, and it has. I mean, if you look at it, it actually has my DJ shirt.
Oh, that is awesome!
On it,
dude, that's great.
It has a Green Lantern ring inside. So, shout out to Heidi Mack, Evan Mack, House of Mack.
Oh, that's from the House of Mack. That's cool. That's so cool. I mean, they did the Green Lantern. That's your boy. You are now a Lantern. I hope you have a lot of willpower. Do some justice to the Green Lantern Corps. So that's cool. I was just, do you have a birthday or something? Or is that just Mac being cool?
Well, he's definitely being cool, but we were planning on just him coming through LA and seeing the city in April, and then that didn't happen. So I guess that was like a housewarming gift or a thanks for letting us stay over gift. And you're like, we'll just give it to you. I was like, cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. That's, I gotta confess, I'm a terrible gift giver, and it's something I wish I was better at, because like my heart is always in the right place, but I can never think of these really good kind of gifts like that. So very cool. And
are you a gift card person, or do you just go, here's a card, or you're a practical gift? Or do you get vacuums at Christmas? Like what?
Yeah, I try different things. I try different things, and it never works. Whether it be like trying to get something practical, and it doesn't end up being as practical as I thought it would be, or getting something I think is going to be fun and then it doesn't get used, or a gift card, and gift cards never knocked out of the park. But I just
little bunt.
I feel. I try. It's not that I don't try. I'm just not good at it, and I think that's a really good gift. That's a really personal, well done gift. So round of applause to the House of Mac for that one. So you got that. That was cool. And then there's something else I wanted to ask you about, and I totally forgot because whatever. I don't know. This is a loose show.
It's all good. Shout out to Haley and Derek in the chat. Having a good time. We were sitting on my Go Rogue shirt, Rogue, one of the esports teams in League of Legends and Rocket League, represent.
Is that your team? Is that your go-to team?
That is my team, yeah. I was saying this over the weekend. They have a history of underachieving, or they get good and they bad. So, but when I first saw my first ever Rocket League championship was at League 7. That team popped off so hard. I was like, I'm in. And fun fact, Go Rogue is founded by DJ Steve Aoki. So he's one of the sponsors. That's cool. Yeah, he's one of the sponsors of the team.
Repping the do esports teans have city affiliations or not at all? Because it doesn't really matter.
It depends.
Like it's not like the Seattle Rogue, right?
No. Well, in Overwatch it does. Overwatch is like the San Francisco Shock or the LA Gladiators or the LA Valiant. But it's still like one organization owning all the teams. But in Rocket League and League of Legends, not really. Just region. North America, Europe,
Yeah, I feel like you have to, because if you didn't, then the teams that were in like big cities would just crush small cities, I'd imagine. Yeah. Like New York and LA would probably dominate everybody, and then you'd have a few other teams from bigger cities. As they should. Yeah, LA should dominate everybody. I'm originally from Seattle, but forget it, LA. speaking of esports and speaking of video games, I want to talk about what I thought was one of the biggest pieces of news for all of wrestling that came through just this past week. It's a game near and dear to our hearts, Flobo. You and I both are big fans of the WWE 2K series. They have decided to not go forward with WWE 2K21. The first year they're not going to have a game in about 20 years, I think. Or how long has it been since they've been doing these yearly releases? This is the first time that they're calling it quits. How do you feel about that?
I remember WWE 12, but even SmackDown vs. Raw before that went yearly. You know what? It's time. And you have the perfect scapegoat. You can blame a global pandemic. But the thing is, the gaming community is fickle enough, and the wrestling community is fickle too. And once they've given up on a game, that's a death knell. Because 2K19, I don't know if you remember this. 2K19 came out. It was, hey, there's a lot of flaws in this game, but it's on the right track. Let's rally behind it, guys. And I think people did compared to 18. But when 20 came back and had so many glitches, there was no goodwill they could do. And I think that game has like 5 patches and 4 DLC packs. It wasn't enough. So it's a good call to pull it. I'm not sure about Battlegrounds being the switch for it. I think it just seems like another compromise. We want simulation graphics and arcade play. I don't know why The Rock has a giant head now, but we get what we get.
Yeah. It's the going back to the 2K stuff. I'm a big fan of them, but it seems like, as you said, in 2019 they had the goodwill. Hey, bugs, we're going to fix it. But it seems like they've been saying that for 10 years. It seems like the past 10 years of games has been them going, look, we're making some tweaks. We're going to get better. This is sort of a step in the process. And it always feels like they lift one thing up and then they start working on the bad stuff. And before the bad stuff gets good, they just take back the other good stuff and start over. And it's this weird balancing act. I think it's good that they are taking a break, because I agree. This 2K20 was the first year I didn't buy a game in a while. Yeah. I just couldn't justify myself doing it. But I wanted to make the segue from this from the go rogue talk, is because I feel like if I'm WWE or if I'm AEW working on a game at this point, or if I'm 2K or anyone else, I'm looking at these esports and I'm saying to myself, how do we get wrestling to be an esport? It feels like it's made for that, right? Where you could make a character representing yourself and wrestling, quote unquote, wrestle different people. You could have your own little like regional companies within this whole thing and a championship. It just makes sense. It feels like it's built for it. Am I crazy, Flobo, as someone who watches esports?
You know, I don't think you are, because I mean, one of the biggest esports on the planet is Street Fighter, and that's a fighting game as well. So there's definitely a room for wrestling. The only problem I think it's because 2K is this weird like no man's land between a fighting game and a sports game, is that do you approach it like Street Fighter and say, hey, these are the abilities. Like Chad Gable is Chad Gable and Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns, or do you use do like NBA 2K and go, you getting our generic point guard, you're a generic shooting guard, and all your stats are even on certain levels. It's down to skill and skill alone, and that gets all complicated. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think wrestling could be an esport. Why the heck not?
It's, to me, I would say forget the Roman Reigns and all the other characters. I would say you make your own character and you have your own character face off against people. I mean, that's what these games are about, is make your character, let them go ahead and mix it up with everyone else. And I think you could have a legitimate, e-world champion, the best in the, best online at this game. I mean, you obviously have to put some sort of balance so you don't have one of those jerks that makes their character all perfect scores, and spam all the finishers or things. But I think, to me, it just makes sense. And I feel like it's a cash cow that way. And then you can also monetize re-showing the e-matches. It seems like it's built in. It's WWE, esports. It's all there. It's all built in. It's like this perfect little package that for some reason isn't getting made. If I worked at the WWE, the first thing I would do is I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. This is crazy. I'm living the dream. The next thing I would do is I would go through and I would say that we need to start working on these games, because it's just, there's money left on the table. But you had brought up Battlegrounds. To me, this game looks like an iPhone game to me. It may be an iPhone game, but to me, it looks like it screams of iPhone to me.
So taking a step back about what you were saying about why not there should be like an esports league. You're right. If you're WWE now, you're trying to find any and other ways to make revenue. Major League Baseball is sanctioning simulated games for the ad revenue to make that money up. Battlegrounds will do that because THQ 2K games will not have something. It does seem like it's an iPhone game in development. They're just saying, okay, we're gonna port to like the next gen systems. And come on, let's be honest. We liked All Stars for what it was, but we want actual wrestlers and different types. And maybe I'm not even a big proponent of intergender wrestling in WWE that much, but in the game, if my little sister picks Summer Rae, I want to be able to be Brock Lesnar. That's what I want. I don't want to have 3 finishers loaded to put something through a table. And it doesn't seem Battlegrounds has that, but it's going to be way too simple. I can almost guarantee it'll be way too simple.
Yeah, there's definitely a sweet spot between the two where you can have people doing moves that look interesting and look like they're being delivered without looking like you just had to mocap it. Also, and you can have guys that aren't necessarily exactly the way they're built. You can bulk people up a little bit, make it a little fun, and you can make the play style a little more fun. But yeah, it's weird. It's like they have no middle ground. It's like either it's going to be a super simulated game or it's going to be absolutely cartoony. It's weird because it seems like for 20 years people have been saying, just make No Mercy again. Just make No Mercy again. Make it like No Mercy. And it feels like we keep saying over and over, just make it like No Mercy. But for some reason, they will not make it like No Mercy. I don't understand it. Even there's mods that are out that you can buy because people keep continuing it because they want this No Mercy. But I don't know why. I don't know why they just won't take the easy route and just go, okay, let's just remake No Mercy.
remember the day when I figured out there's a Snapmare button? I lost my mind. I was like, Jack, are you kidding me?
I still didn't know there was a Snapmare button. And there's probably some programmer that was like super proud of himself, like, hey guys, guess what I added? Snapmare button.
I know, you still got it.
Like I said, as long as my character has a perfect Snapmare, then I'm okay.
Okay, we gotta talk about this, dude. No. We gotta talk. So in 2K19, if those of you listening, Jack and I both played 2K19, and so we exchanged our creator characters. So I'm Flobito Reyes, and this guy's Jack Benevolence. Inside baseball, fun fact, on the AEW After Show, Jack literally says, I'm a benevolent host. So cool. The problem is, I did a real creator character. My guy's rated 89. I think he's 91 now. But he's 89, decent stats.
Gotten better.
More of a powerhouse, high flyer. This guy maxed out everything. So in my universe mode, where he is the IC champion, Jack Benevolence headlines all my pay-per-views. And me, the WWE champion, has to make myself Jack's manager to even get booked at my own pay-per-views. It's messed up. It's so wrong.
Listen, it's like they say, if you don't want to be the world champion, what are you even doing here? You know, that's
I've been catering my belts, setting my championship, even catering. I'm just like, ugh.
It's a weird slippery slope when you're making yourself, because like clearly, like looking at like, let's say the strength category in the world of pro wrestling, I'd have like a 10 out of 100, right?
Right.
So I have to fake it a little bit, but then like, how much am I faking that? Let's just fake it all the way, baby. Let's make it. I mean, most of the way I play anyways is me like doing 8-man elimination matches. So who cares? So are you buying Battlegrounds, WWE Battlegrounds?
If there's a preview weekend or something like that, I may get like the little like Black Friday sale, but I'm not going to buy it for $60. Absolutely not.
Are you going to buy discounted WWE 2K20?
So it got as low as $20. If it had like 15, I probably would do it, because as bad as the game is, $15 for a story mode is fine. But no, I think $20 even now was like.
The glitches hold me back, because if it's glitchy, then it's not going to be fun, even if it's a new story mode. So that kind of threw me off. Is I've been playing some other games lately. I've been playing I played Red Dead Redemption recently. I've been playing The Witcher recently, and I'm watching these games that are, especially Witcher. It's a few years old, and they always talk about how great the graphics are for these WWE games. But I don't know if they even hold up to some of these other games. Like, I don't know if they're even that good. So it's kind of like, it kind of opened my eyes to just how much they need to really up the ante over with these games. But you know who's really up in the ante? The NXT Cruiserweight division. They have an interesting tournament going on. It's the round robin points system. Who's in the tournament? Let's go through. We got Tony Nese. We got what's King Cuerno's new name again?
His new old name is El Hijo de Fantasma. So they're in different groups. So in Group A is Kushida, Jake Atlas, Drake Maverick, and Tony Nese. And on Group B is Kira Tozawa, El Hijo del Fantasma, Swerve, and Jack Gallagher.
I am a huge Swerve fan. I've said before, I'll say again, that guy's going to be the breakout star of 2020. I said it a year ago. He's going to be the breakout star of 2020. I'm not letting go.
He's going to be your Apollo Crews, man. I'm telling you. I like Swerve. I think he's amazing, but he's not going to go in. He's going to be a guy where they need someone for some flash, and they'll pull him back. I don't see him going anywhere, which sucks.
Nah, no, you can tell he's got charisma to spare because he watches. He's got a podcast. He makes music. He's doing things, and I think
agree with you. He's not going anywhere.
I think he's one of those guys that's going to start getting some traction in his other things, and that's when the WWE is going to really start saying, "Okay, we need to use him because he's getting traction doing other stuff."
Zack Ryder, yeah, for sure.
You know how these things work. Once things get going, once people get traction, big companies like to say, "Oh yeah, this was always our guy. We always liked him. That's why we had him."
Yeah, like Xavier Woods, sure, or Xavier Woods is a guy that is on one of the greatest tag teams of all time, but he never got a chance to shine on his own. But up, down, down was predates the New Day. Look, I like Swerve. Swerve is the guy who's uncrowned champion in our entire division, but he's not going to be used the way we think he's going to be used.
Well, let's pump our brakes a little bit here. First and foremost, NXT Breakout Star 2020. I didn't say he's headlining WrestleMania and going into the Hall of Fame next year. Yeah. I'm saying he's going to be the NXT Breakout Star of the year.
The last guy you said that was Jordan Miles, but go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Did I say that, Jordan Miles?
Yeah, when he won the Breakout Tournament. He goes, Jordan Miles he's really good.
He is really good. He was really good. I don't know if he's wrestled since then, but he was really good. I stand by that. Jordan Miles. Put him in the ring. He's still good in the ring. I'll stand by his ring work. But who do you think's winning it? Who's winning the Cruiserweight tournament?
So it's a funny thing you mentioned that because before the tournament started, my pick was Kushida. He was the most decorated person on that little group. Even though he didn't have the greatest storyline, if they were to keep and reestablish Devlin as a threat, having Devlin come in and beat Kushida might be fun. But now with Drake Maverick and his redemption story, it would seem to be kind of a weird rug pull out under him if he didn't win. So I don't know. Did Drake Maverick? Do you think? Let's talk shop. Let's get deep into this. Drake Maverick gets his walking papers. Say he's still got to finish a few matches. He posts a video that's just gut wrenching, and now he's finishing this tournament. Do you think, are we cynical? Do we think that was planned? Do we think that was part of the story, that WWE built that into some reality? Or do you think that he grabbed the brass ring and he earned his job back? Or neither? Do you think he's just it's not going to happen? I'm just going to say it work, only because historically in WWE, they make they're very, very careful of making sure that they're done with you first before letting you go. For every Christian who stayed a day after his contract to fill out an obligation, there's a Jeff Jarrett or someone who ends up walking. So I think it's kind of out of character for them to let someone go and go, oh, by the way, you got 3 more matches. Now, if that's the case and it's a work, that's pretty hard if you're Matt Cardona being like, for real? Like, at the same day? I don't know. I support this, but is that what wrestling is? Is it not like the tease between what's real and what's fake?
I mean, that's true. I can't remember who said it. I think it was a Lance Storm quote. And he was saying how, like, the goal of wrestling is, people will always say, wrestling's fake, isn't it? And he says the goal of pro wrestling is isn't it? that little half a second of like, wait, is this real or is it? And the fact that we question it means that they're doing a good job. That said, if it was all planned all along, little sketchy, but at the end of the day, that's, it's entertainment and things happen. But either way, I think if Drake wins this, he's a made man. I think this could be a made man moment for him. I don't know. I think looking at the names, I feel like if Kushida doesn't win it, he's in trouble for me, because he's been that guy that we keep waiting for him to click, and it's just not clicking. And I think if it doesn't click here, then to me that is you're on a bad path from here on out.
He did look pretty good last week in his first match. I think it's one of the best matches he's ever had in NXT. That tells, okay, he's a submission guy. Now I can say in my head on this brand how he could be pretty lethal, as opposed to being the guy who stole Cameron Grimes' hat those 2 weeks. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of chances we gave to Kushida. I think there's
Cameron Grimes wears a hat.
I think so. Rumors are swirling. I think it's pretty much the not the end, but if you don't move him from another brand after this, if he doesn't get it, it might be the end of his character run.
What's he missing? Because we all know he's a great wrestler. He looks cool. He stands out. Like,
yeah.
I know everyone immediately jumps to, you got to be able to work a microphone. I don't think that's necessarily true all the time, because I think there are people who don't work a microphone that do just fine.
Yeah.
What is it about him? Like, what is he missing? Is there something we can do if you're WWE to change things, or what do you do with him?
I am not sure if this is WWE's fault or Kushida's fault, because he has been decorated for so long that I'm sure that he comes with his New Japan character. Which, the thing about New Japan is, as long as they give you time to hit hard, we will respect your work in the craft and what you do. But here in American wrestling, you know this as a Lance Storm fan, you do that without any reason for me to care about you, and it's boring. So you can look up to your watch all you want, where that would be amazing in New Japan. The moments where I cared about Kushida is when he teamed with Alex Shelley. When he came out with his little entrance. So they haven't done a really good job of telling me why I should care or why he's decorated. When Kenta came to NXT, there were packages for weeks telling you Hideo Itami is the more aggressive side of Kenta. But Kushida was like, it's Kushida! He's here! Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, Kenta didn't really work out long-term either. So I don't know if that's necessarily even a good comparison.
He had an injury.
It didn't really click with him. I think I get your point. Do you think that is why a lot of Japanese stars struggle? Is because it's just a different world and they struggle making that transition from one style to the other?
Are you asking me as a fan or as a wrestling pundit?
Both. As a fan, what do you think? Is it their fault?
As a fan, a lot of it comes from everyone kind of runs together. You come out as a Japanese superstar, the commentator tells me, he's the man half a world away. You give me a vague Japanese theme song, and either you hit hard so I boo, or you smile so I cheer. And it's almost like there's no need for depth of character. And yes, working on microphone helps, but as a fan, it's like, well, it took me a while to understand who Shinsuke Nakamura was. If you're not watching New Japan, which at the time I really wasn't, having Shinsuke Nakamura come out was kind of like, why is that guy spazzing so hard? Pfft, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as a wrestling pundit, I can say is when you go to like not New York or LA or not even to hotbeds like Chicago and Philly, when you go to Worcester, Mass, or you go to Northwest Arkansas in the backyard of Walmart, and then you tell me cheer for Asuka, you gotta give me a better reason why in the ring, and that's sad. I don't want to say the R word or the X word, but a lot of it is that Asian talent. Up until recently, Black talent had that problem too, but specifically Asian talent has struggled with the middle American cities. And if you're Vince McMahon, those they will pay to see you live because you don't come into town that often, so you cater to them. We love New York and LA. They can get that eating money what they want. It's those smaller venues like San Diego or even like I said, the Ozark Bend. They want to see John Cena. They want to see Roman Reigns do this, and people suffer.
Do you think it's because they lean too heavily on them being from Japan instead of just being good wrestlers?
Yeah, Japan ends up being a shorthand, and that's what I was saying about the whole like the plight of the African American wrestler. Because in Mexican wrestlers, high flying lucha, the tradition, the mass, the family, the pseudo religious aspect of the craft of wrestling, the art of wrestling. Japan, hard hitting strikes. Legends went over to apply their craft. They went away and came back super strong. British wrestling, carnivals, they guys hit hard, they're bruisers, they eat potatoes and steaks. Black wrestlers, they never had that. So you're telling me, hey, look, you're from Japan where everyone hits hard. The nuance of a Shinsuke, or what makes Asuka so graceful, or why does Kairi saying stamina come into play in her matches gets lost in translation.
Yeah, I've never liked the idea of they hit hard in Japan because I feel like as a fan, I'm supposed to assume everyone hits hard. Right? Like, am I supposed to pretend that Braun Strowman doesn't hit hard and that Shinsuke hits harder? That's unless we're all opening up and saying it's fake and Shinsuke is really going to hit people, which means he's just not doing his job very well. Right? Like,
sorry.
So it's a very weird thing to kind of bounce, but it's just interesting because there's so many talented people over there. And like I said, I don't believe that it's the mic skills because guys like Keith Lee were over before he was talking on the microphone in NXT. So I don't think it's necessarily even mic skills because people get, and Asuka clearly is over. Everyone loves Asuka. People still talk about her undefeated reign from years ago. But it's so I don't think it's necessarily mic skills, but there is something that's definitely being lost in translation.
So I recommend this comic book. It's called The Comic Book History of Pro Wrestling. It's like $10 on Amazon, $7 if you buy the Kindle version. And in Japan, what's revered more is not so much the emoting and the selling as much as fighting spirit. So you come in like, you can't bring me down. I'm just going to keep on fighting. That's awesome. But that totally bucks the trend of what storylines are. You know what I mean? If you I don't know. I feel like it's a different kind of taste there.
But that's I feel like that's cheap though. Like that's like saying, if I go to Japan, it's like saying, hey, just so you know, what makes me great in America is that I win all the time and no one can beat me.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
What do you mean? Like, it's my fighting spirit. No matter how much you hit me, I keep getting up.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you sell everything, then of course. Yeah, that's silly. That's not anyone's fault but their own.
Asian talent, Kushida notwithstanding, tends to do better NXT, where we can sit there and watch a match and go, wow, fight forever. These guys are hitting each other hard. But on the main roster, until very recently, when it was all rest holds and it was all grabbing the mic, when it was all walking down to the ring and posing a certain way and looking at the crowd after a handshake attempt, those things aren't really practiced at NXT or abroad. That's what I'm saying. I'm not. He gets back up. He's over.
So are you saying that wrestlers from Japan aren't as well-rounded? Because, people in America can do the long matches too,
I'm saying that WWE has a very distinct flavor, and it's very easy to us to poo-poo it and say, I don't watch it anymore, but WWE is wrestling, and it's also a general entertainment company and the gateway. So you can learn all the styles you want, but you're going to have to learn the WWE style if you want to make it in the WWE specifically.
So it's their fault for not learning the WWE style.
There's no other options of WWE style in Japan.
Right, but when Rey Mysterio came to America, he learned to do things differently, right?
Yeah.
So is it the Japanese wrestlers? It's their fault for not learning and adapting.
I don't want to say it's a fault.
I'm trying to get you to say something that is a hot take.
I'm trying to get it's a fault because they can out wrestle me. I'm just saying it's different flavors.
I think what you're saying is it's their fault.
Can we move on?
Speaking of moving on, you know who else moved on?
Flobo Boyce, because he got called out by Jack Farmer.
Impact Wrestling moved on. Tessa Blanchard, the Impact World Champion, unable to travel due to all the issues going on with COVID-19. And they had Moose come back with the TNA title. He is now the TNA champion. He defended it. what do you think about this whole? What do you think about them bringing back the TNA title for Moose to be the champion while Tessa is unavailable?
First of all, I didn't know Hernandez still wrestled. That guy has been around everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I first heard Moose became TNA champion. I was like, what happened to Tessa? But yeah, I understand. Even
yeah.
though we poo poo on it now for this specific reason, but the show usually has to go on, right? So
Hmm.
Tessa Blanchard can't do it. She's the Impact champion. Moose digs the TNA championship out of the trash, and now it's become sanctioned. I guess that's how that works. It begs the question: what happens? Is it going to be a Moose versus Tessa storyline, and how do you book that? And what really is the far-reaching problems of this global pandemic when it comes to performer travel?
What do you think this will have problems with them? Because I feel like they work so hard to get away from the TNA name, and then they do the TNA flashback shows, and they have the TNA title come back. Do you think this hurts them long term? Or just I feel like it because I agree with you. When I saw Moose with the TNA title, or when I heard he had it, the first thing I thought was, oh, he beat Tessa, and
Yeah.
it confused everything to me. Do you think they're creating confusion by doing this instead of just saying the interim champion or something along those lines?
You know what? It's one of those things that no matter what you do, you can't get away from it. I can wear a top hat all I want, but I will always be Flobito, right? The TNA, the backbone of it all, I get it. I think that's what people still refer to it as. Him bringing out the actual belt seemed to be more of a cost-cutting measure. Like there was no time to make a new one. But
Yeah,
yeah, now Sammy Callahan and Tessa Blanchard had a very personal storyline. Do I want to see Moose beat the hell out of Tessa Blanchard? No.
no.
Or do I want to see Moose get rolled up by Tessa? No. But now we have that problem because we have to unify both belts at some point.
It's it makes me wonder where that TNA belt has been. Like who held it? Like like literally where was it? Who was holding on to it? Like was it just in a warehouse? You think, or was like did someone have it displayed somewhere, or like where was it all this
Just
time?
like that.
Who was the last TNA champion? Was it
Don't even
like
know.
probably like Jeff Hardy or something? I'd imagine like or Sting or someone. Because they changed the name a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird times, especially with travel and things like that. Do you think what are they going to do? Like, because obviously wrestling's moving on, and AEW's doing live shows again. WWE's doing live shows again. Impact has got to be worried about not having their world champion there. Clearly, they have Moose filling in. What do you think is going to happen? How is travel going to impact wrestling as we go forward? You think?
Well, I think Derek Fisher says that Kurt Angle was the last TNA champion.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's kind of weird because it reminds me when I moved to California, when I went to grad school many years ago, and I thought I was young and spry. I worked at Target, and everyone loved the fact I worked at Target. Like, oh man, that store is so much. It's so cool. It's so much better than that Walmart crap hole. And then after 3 months, I can tell you it's the same thing. But Target
Yeah.
is literally 1/6 of the size of Walmart, so it only gives it the flack, right? TNA is doing exactly what everyone else is doing. Roman Reigns isn't coming to work in WWE. John Moxley is not being used weekly on AEW. They're used for certain kind of things. So I can't knock him for doing that. Is having a new champion crowned the best way of getting away from that? No, but you know what? That's Impact's bread and butter. Their world title has so many storylines around it that are threatening what we think of the business to stand for. Maybe that's their appeal. So I guess I'm going to give them support on that end of it all. But I just, unless the match eventually is going to be like either Moose relinquishing that belt or a ladder match where you can lose and still be strong, I don't want to see that forthcoming match coming at all. So I'm not sure if they're booking on the seat of their pants or just to make weeks happen or what.
Why do you not want to see Tessa Blanchard versus Moose?
Well, there's two reasons. One, this is again, Sammy Callahan's storyline was very, very personal and physical. So we kind of rooted for Tessa for that. You know what I mean? We really wanted to come
Mm-hmm.
abroad. And Moose is a good character, a good strong character, but I wouldn't believe for a second that he would get like power bomb by the might of someone who was so angry and so pushed to the edge. She became stronger in that moment. If I'm being in storyline. Outside
Yeah.
of storylines, there is that controversy surrounding Tessa Blanchard and her comments about certain female talents of a certain color as well. And Moose is a performer of color, so I do have that in the back of my head, but I can't hold Tessa against that because she's a performer. But yeah, I don't want to necessarily see that. So on paper, it looks like Moose will have to like totally destroy Tessa. If he does that, that whole storyline with Sami Callihan becomes out in the wash. But if he doesn't, do we take Moose seriously ever again? I don't know.
But how is it any different than seeing like Rey Mysterio against the Big Show or against the like a Brock Lesnar? Because the size ratio is the same,
right?
Like
true. True.
We're talking.
Tessa wouldn't be an underdog here. Tessa would be the reigning defending world champion. So even though she's underpowered and smaller than Moose, she would be considered the person that should in fact go over. So to build drama in this match, Moose has to like beat the brakes off Tessa before she wins theoretically, or if she doesn't win theoretically. That I don't want to see. You know what I mean?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like it'd be
fine. You want a squash match? If you want a squash match, and my whole point.
No, it doesn't need to be a squash match. They can have a regular match though. I think Tessa's proven herself to be able to have matches with dudes. So, dude.
It's a very pundit word of dudes.
Professionalism, folks. That's what shows brought to you by StreamYard bring you. Professionalism. Thank you so much to our amazing sponsors, StreamYard, for powering this podcast, this video cast, this vlog. I don't know how you'd phrase it. But also thank you to the amazing people who are a part of the show, who watch the show. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, subscribing. And most importantly, thank you so much for sharing it with your friends. Obviously, Flobo and I, we don't have a marketing budget. Surprise, surprise. So the only way for us to get it out there is for you guys to share it. Now, we put it on our timeline on Twitter, and we share with our friends, but we've only got so many friends, and some of them don't even like us that much. So we need you.
Followers this week.
So when you guys share it, it really does mean the world to us, and it really does help to build the show. And the bigger it gets, the more we're able to do more things. You know, we might actually have some upgrades coming soon. We might have some guests coming soon. And that happens because people see the likes, they see the comments, they see the subscribes, they see the 5-star reviews. I don't know if we're even on iTunes. I don't think we are. So maybe we don't have that. Yeah. We should be. That's one of the things we can do if you guys like the video. So thank you for that. We have we have Hallie, we have Derek, we have Haywood, and everyone else. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show.
I thought it was pronounced Haley. I don't know. Maybe is it
Haley? Is it
Haley or
Hallie or Haley?
We don't know.
You can let us know in the comments.
Phonetically the chat if it's Hallie or Haley.
It'd be great. It'd be great if she responded with just spelling her name. It's pronounced
exactly.
Halee.
Hey, you idiots! It's Halee. Enter.
And speaking of the amazing people that are part of the show, we got some questions. Are you ready to wrestle with some questions, Flobo?
Yeah.
Our first question comes from friend of the show, Haywood Wong at HWView on Twitter.
Hold on. He's a friend of the show. He called me a heel on Monday night. I don't know. He called me a heel on Monday night.
Well, he listed about 700 different hosts in order before getting to me in his favorite list. So
yes.
It's Haley.
Hey.
Yay. Okay, Haley. Sorry, Haley. Then let's get to the questions, though. Haywood, he says, at Flobo Boyce, at Real Jack Farmer, who do you think in AEW and WWE has the stuff to be the next crossover star? We started talking about this before we went on the air, but we stopped ourselves because we were getting into it. Crossover star, I'm going to say, I think we're assuming that someone who's going to make it into like movies or music or TV, kind of jump beyond wrestling. Who do you think? Who's the first person that comes to mind for you?
Yeah. So the answer for me, I have no one. I was like thinking. My brain is like, Darby, no. Becky, I can't really think of anyone. maybe Baron Corbin can be a villain on these C and D movies. But I think this is a time in a long time where the crossover stars aren't necessarily there. You know, Roman Reigns is
Yeah.
probably, you know.
I was
So,
going to ask, does he count as a crossover star? Because he has been in movies, in small roles, and I think he's gained a bit of fame outside of pro wrestling. Do you count him as a crossover star yet, or not yet?
I would not, even though he was in Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw. I do not count him quite yet. I think there's room for him to be. The company said in one of their calls that he was the new Cena as far as being the linchpin of the brand, but I have not seen it quite yet.
You know who I think it's going to be? You know who if I have to pick one, I know a lot of people would say Becky Lynch because she's the biggest star going right now. But you know who I think it's going to be? If I had to pick one person, I think it's Swerve for all the same reasons I said already. I think, look, he's making music. I think he's doing podcasts. I think he's going to be one of those guys that whether or not the WWE is the thing that helps him do it, he's going to do other things. I think he makes good music. His music's solid, and his podcast is good. I think he's one of these guys that whether or not it's through wrestling, he will find a path, and that's why I think he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, I think that you're right, and he'll be someone who's multi-talented, but like in the way Coca Cabana was, I don't think he's going to be like the household name when I think of like The Rock or John Cena in that way. I don't think Swerve's going to be on the Today Show doing recipes, you know.
I think he's going to have a hit single. I think he'll get there. Haywood mentioned Sasha Banks. Do you think she could qualify as a potential crossover star? She has the family connections. She's going to be on The Mandalorian. Kind of got some irons in the fire already.
Lord knows she's trying. Time will tell she has the tools there, and she is trying. Time will tell if the audience is there for her. Because frankly, I don't really see her like out and about on her social as much as other people, other contemporaries. But yeah, if she has the tools to be, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't pick her, but I wouldn't be surprised.
What about someone like Lana, or who is actively, going after acting roles and actively trying to build that brand as well? Do you think she could be a crossover star? Do you think she could be someone that makes the next level?
Maybe not Lana specifically, but definitely only someone on that level of someone who wrestles semi-frequently just to get their name refreshed for the WWE crowd, that's willing to take extended times for acting lessons, for that book writing. Sort of like what the Bellas did even before their injury. Like, for me, I'm not a huge Bellas fan, but I'm not a Bellas hater either. But you can't deny they took time off, and when they did take time off, they made their reality shows or they made their cookbooks or what have you.
Would Kane going into politics count as crossover?
I think so. Like Jesse Ventura, yeah.
You know who? Then who I'm going to put I'm going to put my bet on? Someone who I don't think anyone's thinking about. Swerve. I think Titus is gonna run for public office at some point. I think he's building up that resume, and I think he's going to run for public office at some point. I think he should, at least, if he does. I think he's got everything to run for public office. I think he should. I think he would do great at it. And I had another person that came to mind, but I was going to ask the guys in the New Day. Xavier Woods, does he count as crossover? Because he's got up, down, down. He's doing all sorts of stuff with like gaming and things like that. Does that count as crossover star?
Okay, I think we're disagreeing on what crossover is. Because, there's a lot of people that have side hustles and businesses, too. Seth Rollins has a CrossFit gym and he sells coffee and all that stuff. And Aleister Black has a clothing line. When I think of crossover star, I mean, my mama doesn't know wrestling because Ken Patera says it was too violent for her to watch. She doesn't watch wrestling anymore, but she knows who John Cena is. And she knows who Roman Reigns is. So on that level, I can't see anyone. Maybe Corbin, but I can't see anyone. Or on the AEW side, maybe Moxley. But yeah, as far as them having side hustles and little media empires and getting revenue doing side things, a bunch of people qualify for sure.
Well, that's what I mean. What qualifies as a crossover? Like, how big do you need to be? Ken Anderson was in one of the 12 round movies. Like, that wouldn't count, obviously, as crossover star, but like, what's the threshold? I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
For
if
me,
if
it's for something
Swerve
an
had
award.
they have to be able to present. So politics wouldn't count because you'd never present an award, and Kane would never present an
No,
award
no,
as
that's not what I'm
mayor.
saying. I mean, the threshold, the benchmark. If they bring you in for the People's Choice Awards, the ESPYS, or whatever, that counts. For politics, that counts because you're a public eye in a public service. You have a whole platform
Yeah,
in that space. You have speeches or whatnot. But like you having your own video game channel and vlog, like Asuka, it has her Kana-chan, which has like 500,000 subscribers, but I don't think she's a crossover star.
no, yeah. Well, I'm not saying just having that because then we would be crossover stars. We've got AfterBuzz, and we've got this. But what I'm saying is, but there's a certain level of fame that comes to it. Like, and you need more. Like having just a YouTube channel where you film yourself with a lot of views isn't a crossover star. I get that, but having a podcast that is a legitimate podcast, or you know, I don't know. There are other things involved, but I think Swerve's going to be successful in music. I think
All
he's going
right.
to have some hits. That's why I say Swerve,
So
and I
Haley
think
says
Titus as well.
So Haley says I can't pick Baron Corbin, so my answer is The Miz if he's not already.
I don't know if I can because he was a star before WWE, so I don't know if I can. That's like saying picking Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, why
That's like
not?
saying Ronda Rousey's going to be a crossover star. You know who else is going to be good? Cain Velasquez. He's going to be
In Saudi
he's
Arabia,
going to be he's going to be big in multiple companies.
bad guy.
So Haywood had another question, and he asked Haywood at HWView on Twitter, who do you guys think takes the final spot for the men's Money in the Bank? He predicted Brock Lesnar, to my delight. And of course, I love Brock Lesnar. I think Brock Lesnar will never, ever be in a Money in the Bank match ever in his life, outside of the weird random run-in thing he did last time.
Which sucked, but I understand.
I loved it. I
So
loved it.
Brock Lesnar is a legend. He's one of 3 men to win the Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and King of the Ring. So he already.
Would you say he's the Bailey of men wrestlers?
No, I would not say that at all. Because you know what? A lot of Bailey's appeal to me is that people sleep on Bailey, but no one sleeps on Brock. No, well, I should take it back. They do. They do sleep on Brock because of his absenteeism, but his skill is pretty cool. But no, Bailey's a class of her own. It's hard because as far as who's the last spot on SmackDown, I think it has to be Dolph just to preserve heavy machinery. I don't want Otis to go on a single run. I am not sure who's going to be in the Raw Gauntlet match now that Apollo Crews is out, so it's hard for me to say who should be in there because I don't know who's coming to work really because there's so many mid carders that disappeared over the past 6 weeks. But if everyone was available, I'll say Kevin Owens for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I think I agree with you about. I agree with you about Dolph Ziggler because one, Otis ain't winning it. At least with Dolph, probably not winning it, but at least there's that little he's been there before, he could, and he's been doing big things, so it would make sense for him to actually be elevated to that level. But yeah, I don't think Otis is lovable. I don't think anyone would believe him as being a winner there. So I think definitely has to be Ziggler. I think on the other side, it's tough to say. Are we assuming is the injury is real? Do you have any insight to what's going on with Apollo Crews? It's just a weird thing to have him win it and then get taken out of it in such a uninteresting way. It's not like he was attacked backstage and now there's some kind of heat generated. It's just like he's in it. Oh no, he's not.
Yeah, I don't have any insight. The only thing I can imagine is that they gave, and this is very cynical on my part, so I apologize if it's not the case. And I'm not an insider, guys. I can see they want to bring.
He's an insider,
I'm totally an insider. They brought in some raw undercard talent, gave, in this case, Apollo Crews a couple weeks of wins and featured competitions. So now they could put Apollo on main event for the next couple months to pitch to international markets and say, hey, we got bona fide raw talents on the show. Because Asuka was on main event the week before, but no one's really asking for that. That is the only way I can think of where they can bring on somebody, pull the wool from under his eyes, and say, oh, we're done. is saying, "Hey, look, this guy was on Raw." But other than that, I don't know. It just seems like a weird situation altogether. Yeah.
I wonder if there was someone they wanted, but they didn't think they would be able to get, and now they can get him. So, like, again, not an insider, but I wonder if someone like Kevin Owens, who you mentioned, who I think fits in perfect right there. I wonder if it's one of those things where they didn't know if he'd be available, whether it be because maybe he had symptoms of coronavirus, maybe he was hurt, maybe he said he didn't want to take part, maybe a million things, but then he started feeling better, or he changed his mind, or he's healthy or whatever, and they said, "Oh, we can have him." You know what I mean? I wish something like that happened, but even then, it still feels weird the way they just took him out.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, even if it was like he was attacked backstage, because then you could at least have that "I want revenge" match a month from now, even if it's just a quick blow off. But it just, or even like I said, even if it was Andrade hurt him in the match, at least then Andrade gets hit. But it felt very, never mind.
Yeah. Which happened a lot on Monday Night Raw with Nia Jax and no contest and all that, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's not easy watching empty arena Raws, man. I know it's our show now. I'm going off the hinges. It is so hard to watch wrestling with no fans and filler segments and contract signings when there's no one watching the contract signing and there's DocuSign available and have to be like, "Welcome back to After Buzz TV Wrestling and Sports. What episode of Raw did we had?" It's not as good. I want crowds back. Dang it.
Man, I'll tell you what, dude. It is so hard. It is so hard because the truth is, the way all of our shows go, and I don't want to spoil our shows, but the way they would truthfully be if we weren't trying to put on a show is it'd be like, they did the best they could with what they had. That's really all it is. And something I was going to ask, but I skipped it because I was worried it'd be too depressing. But we're here anyways. Is
yes.
I don't think. I was asking, do you think any of these matches will ever be featured on a DVD in the future that is not just showing the empty arena or Drew McIntyre? Because Drew McIntyre clearly had the first title win, so Drew McIntyre retrospective would have to have it. But other than that, I don't know. Like, will we ever see Shayna versus Becky on a best of Becky Lynch DVD? I don't think so. Like, will we see Andrade's matches in the future? I don't know. Will we see any of these on a best of? Were any of these empty arena matches a best of quality? Not counting Boneyard or things like that, obviously, that didn't take part in the arena. Do you think?
On the surface, it won't. I think on the surface, it will take too much time to set the context of what happened in the Globe at the time to make that make sense. But NXT UK is today, and they brought up these hidden gem matches that you haven't seen before, where Matt Riddle took on Ligero, and so I think for that they might say, here's a match you didn't think will be a part of the Becky Lynch Dana Bays review, this hidden gem from this time back in March, But as far as it being on the glossy, like, here are the top 10 matches, no, because you can't go from, like, last year, Kofi Mania, people crying, kids in the ring, pancakes in the air, to, I wanted to thank you for winning this belt. It was really cool. And I love wrestling, Jack. I tune in every week.
Yeah.
I would still watch it if it wasn't my job, but geez, you are not making it easy. They're not.
No, it's tough. Do you think, can they make it good? Like I've always said, I think, and I think AEW's done a better job of it so far. I'm just going to front it. But like, there's so many things that happen during Raw that it feels like they keep trying to embrace a crowd that's not there. And to me, it really showed when, like Mike Rome would be announcing, and then people would still go up to the turnbuckle and like pose, and he'd pause for them to pose. Like he'd pause for a crowd reaction, and it's just quiet and weird. And then he'd announce the next person. Like, don't you think they should be announcing things more like, in this corner we have Apollo Crews, and in this corner we have MVP? Just like be quick about it instead of dragging this on and having them pose to silence. It feels weird, right?
It's all programming, and if this goes on long, if it's 6 months down the road, yeah, it'll probably change. But your whole life when you're in doing training and drills is, hey, slow it down, take the air, take the air. So you're going out and having a dress rehearsal. You're going to have to do the same thing you do if there were a million people out there. Because I'm sure there's some agent going there, pretend there's millions in the crowd because there's millions watching at home. Go, 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 go. And it's flat.
Isn't that their fault? Aren't they messing that up? Like, I feel like read the room. Like, we're DJs, so I guess that's our thing. But if your job is to read the room as an agent or a company, or you talk about how you're all about reading the situation, how do you not read that situation and go, this feels awkward? You know, as a DJ, we've all made the cringeworthy make some noise, and you don't get much noise, right?
Yeah,
what do? You stop saying make some noise.
No, actually,
where it feels
I
like
play
they
an old
keep
mix.
saying it. It's like he going, I said make some noise, and like it's quiet. Like, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, ignore that part. I don't know. To me, it seems crazy.
It does, and I can't knock it to you, man. And I'm not sure, because the thing about, even though everyone likes to, like, to bash WWE or AEW for doing these shows, there is such a cottage industry of podcasts and shows like this where we sit there and we talk about results and where people are going. And so I think more and more as this goes on, the casual fans are dropping off. And so we're just doing this for other hardcore fans. And other hardcore fans aren't happy about what's happening, but they're still watching. So it becomes like this, I'd call it the fart in the room. Like, something is sour, but we're not going to move. You know what I mean? So it's just
sour.
It's just, oh man, Darren doesn't work with me. No, I'm just saying it's just a weird time.
Sour fart Flobo.
Ew. It's just a weird time, and I know, especially on NXT, I think more than Raw, because a Raw, our crew tends to be like, oh, we're having a good time, we're hanging out. On NXT, where at least I try to have a more specific mat-based, wrestling-based discussion, it's just rough because, like yesterday, Jim and I had this, I know we're running low in time, but Jim and I were talking about, because Jim said, hey, this guy is over. I'm like, how can you be over if there's no one in the crowd? How can you connect with a crowd if there's no crowd? And we kind of went back and forth on that because it's hard to say who is over and who was not. Oh, Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis is over. Is he?
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah, it was interesting. AEW
so
signed.
I'm kind of stuck with that. And what does it mean to be a popular character?
Yeah, no, it's exactly. AEW signed Anna Jay after her first match in an empty arena, and I thought she did great. But there's a part of me that's like, how do you know though? Like, how do you judge these people who no one is there to cheer or react? You don't know if people are into them. They might be killing it. They might be terrible, but yeah, it's definitely weird times. And being it must be weird to be a wrestler, which leads me to Amy's question at Cubbies9 on Twitter. She asks, if you could be any wrestler, current or retired, for one day, who would it be and why?
And if I'm Angel Garza, am I talking to Charlie Caruso? Because
yeah,
that heavily influenced my answer.
I hate to say it, but I think as guys, we both like went to the same spot. Like,
I wonder if that counts.
Yeah, I don't think that's the spirit of the question.
Dang.
Just like because my second spot was like, well, I would be Vince McMahon and I would hire me, or I would be I would turn into Cody and I would hire me.
But if you are Vince McMahon, who's in your body? You know, it's like a rag doll. Like, you know, like,
yeah. I come back into my body like, oh, my face! It fell on the ground.
But I have a job. It's crazy.
And I wet myself while I was unconscious for a day.
Why didn't anyone stop me? What is going on?
Why didn't no one call the doctor or something? I assume you switch. So that means if I switch with Vince would be in my body for 24 hours.
Oh yeah, genetic jackhammer in Jack Farmer's body.
I don't know if that'd be worth it. That adds a whole new wrinkle. Like, you got to trust whoever you switch with your life.
Grapefruits. I gotta go with an answer you probably would have assumed. Race aside, I would pick Cesaro. And here's the reason why I like him as a wrestler. He streams, he's crossover, streams, knows multiple languages, and I listen to all these podcasts or whatever from other people, and everyone puts over Cesaro. It's always like, man, I need help with this match, and Cesaro gave me an idea, or I was doing this roast, I didn't have any jokes, but Cesaro gave me these old Dean Martin roasts, and he always seems to be helpful, good at what he does, can play heel, can play face, has one of the most sickest entrances. I wanted the entrance at least once. Cesaro will be my pick.
I think it's a good one. I don't know if this counts because he's not alive anymore, but Mean Gene actually is someone I think of. Because I feel like he has so many stories. He probably knows so much and has so many interesting stories just in his recollection. It'd be fun to recall his stories that he never shared with anyone. Because I imagine he's one of those guys that was always around, so he probably saw everything. He's probably like a fly on the room in a lot of ways. But he's also friendly with people like him that he knows so much, knew so much, had so much information that he could understand and know. Like, I don't know, it'd just be fascinating the things he probably knew about wrestling that we'll never get to know now. To me, he's someone who I think I would want to be. Otherwise, it'd probably be someone like a Stone Cold walking out to the glass breaking and having a giant WrestleMania crowd go nuts. I think that would have to be an amazing feeling as well. Just that feeling of everyone going crazy. I think it'd be fun. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting thought. Plus, I think if Stone Cold switched with me, he would just drink all day, and I'd be able to survive that.
I'm in the White Claws.
Last question. It's an interesting one. It's a deep one. We're about to get serious here. Okay. It's from Mike Jones. On Twitter at M_W_Jones. And he'd like us to chat about the decision around ESPN's inclusion of certain information regarding players of the NFL draft, such as a mother who was a drug addict versus the exclusion of certain information, like a player who has a tattoo that represents a hate group. It's a topic I believe you would do justice. Now, I'm not sure if this is about a specific person or situation that had this exactly happen. I don't know about the hate crime or the hate group tattoo specifically. I do know they talk a lot about people's parents and their situation as well, though. Let me get your thoughts first. If this is a specific player or just in general, your thoughts on these kind of things.
It's kind of a general thing. I think it's a common trend that was happening over time with years, but specifically now where all that kind of coverage got stretched out because there's not much sports on TV, right? You can't cut to anything else. There is nothing else. And it's kind of unfair. Again, there's a lot of things you can talk about the racial side of things, but most athletes, especially in football, tend to be people of color. But that aside, what does that have to do with the level of play? Unless you're doing a specific redemption story, but that should be something along the lines of recovering from injury or, is a valedictorian of his class or something. It does anyone no favors to be like, oh, his mother was on drugs or he was left at home or he had a misdemeanor for possession or something. All that does is reinforce that, athletes shouldn't be or aren't ready enough for a life of professional football. You can take that, interpret that as you will. And as a fan, it kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth because when you're watching players, at least when I was a kid, they were aspirational. Eat your vitamins so you could be like Patrick Ewing, which that's not how genetics works. But as my parents told me, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if you
drink milk, and you'll be able to be a great athlete.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. But to see that off the bat is kind of disheartening and it makes you feel like, I can't feel comfortable rooting for any of these guys, really, or they got problems, and it's not fair.
Yeah. Real quick story about the milk thing. I remember thinking milk was healthy, like everyone did growing up. Like, oh yeah, it makes you strong. And someone once said to me, "Have you ever seen an athlete on the sidelines drinking milk?" I was like, "Oh, that's an interesting point." And then you think about it, like, yeah, could you imagine like running a mile and then taking a big glass of milk? It'd be the worst drink ever. But by the way, I see Derek Fisher in the chat. Go Seahawks! Go Hawks! So as far as these questions go, there's a few. I think this is an incredibly layered question. It's a very just incredibly layered. First and foremost, I understand why ESPN reports on these things. I think it's personal. I don't think we should know about these things, frankly, as viewers. I don't think it's my business what someone's mom is into. The same way I would hate it if people were to. I come from a good family. Fortunately, I don't have any like dark secrets where I come from. But like, I would hate it if people were suddenly talking about things that my parents are going through or things like that. I don't think that's our business. It's kind of one of the reasons I don't like to really get into the personal side of things when we talk about wrestlers and what they go through, because it's none of my. I don't think it's my business what they're doing in their personal life. So I get why ESPN reports it though, because they've got to find news. As far as why NFL teams ask, I 100% get it. I think they should ask on a couple different levels. They should ask about the tattoos for sure, especially in a post Aaron Hernandez world. Yeah. It's much more important, I think, to know those things than ever before. As far as the parents go, just because a parent has issues doesn't mean the kids will have issues, but you're looking at hiring someone and paying them millions of dollars right off the bat. Well, maybe not millions because they have rookie contracts, but you get what I mean. You're paying them a ton of money right off the bat without much time to get more information. And when you're paying someone that much money, yeah, you need to know if there's going to be people in their life that become an issue. You're going to need to know that, hey, if you've got someone that's going to be dragging this player down because they've got to pay their bills because they've borrowed all this money to do, to buy drugs or things like that. Yeah, I think that is an issue if you're the team, and you should know those things because again, you're paying them a ton of money. I mean, think about some of the questions. Yeah, like you should be asking, but as a fan and ESPN, I don't think it's my business if what Joe Burrow's parents do for a living or whatever the case may be. It's none of my business what those people do as a fan personally. So I'm actually kind of against the reporting of it, but as the NFL teams, I think they should be asking those questions.
Fair enough.
That wasn't as deep of a conversation as we thought it was. You just agree? You don't want to disagree with me? You want to fight about it? You want to argue?
You put a nice button because look, the NFL. The NFL operates the way they want to. They're kind of like an organization company, but they're kind of not. They're kind of like that private good old boy. Tell me what you want. So. And it does seem that disproportionately certain athletes had their whole life story laid out where other athletes weren't. But, I mean, look, we're not going to save the world with that. I think, blanketly, you're right. I think, as a fan, we should know about certain things such as schooling, about where they came from, their hometown schooling, whether or not they recovered from an injury or they have any problems with that. And if you want to talk about the bigger problem about athletes, student athletes, because now there are provisions about having student athletes being able to get endorsements and income that way, maybe, and say, oh, this guy is also an Instagram influencer. He's made money as an athlete. Let's discuss. Those are all on the table. But you're telling me my uncle had a gun and my mom used to do coke. It's like, bro, like these things will only make people think of you as a problem. So one day, let's say this guy gets cut off in traffic on his way to practice, and he gets mad, and he shouts at the guy next to him. We're sitting on our house going like, you see, his mom, you should know better. This guy.
Yeah.
And it's unfair, but you just said what I was going to say, so I agree.
Well, that's no fun. I'm gonna argue then. Yeah, I think they should report it. It matters. If you're going to quarterback a team and you're going to lead 52 people, then if you're going to lead 52 people, then I need to know that you have an upbringing that is going to be conducive to that environment.
Fine, Jack. Comic books, we like our heroes relatable, like Wolverine. Flaws are great.
No, but yeah, I'm not a fan of getting into the personal stuff. Speaking about getting into the personal stuff, you asked me last time about my relationship, so I have a question for you. I know you're single right now. At least last time I chatted to you, you were single. Always dates. Looking. So many virtual dates. So if you're looking for a virtual date, I know Flobo's DMs are open. But my question to you is, if you were with someone and you were living together during this quarantine, everyone who's in a relationship has their significant other wants them to get rid of something in their home because it bothers them. If you had a significant other, what's the thing they would want you to get rid of in your house?
To get rid of.
You know what I'm talking about? Everyone's
Yeah.
got everyone's got that like that thing bothers me, but my significant other likes it, so it's there.
It's funny because we actually had the opposite problem. My ex girlfriend got mad because I would throw things out regularly. She said, "You never keep
That's what I do.
anything." I go,
That's
"Hey
what I
man,
do.
no, it doesn't bring me joy." Uh,
That's what I
I
do.
do
That's why I have
remember though
nothing
when
on
I
my wall.
undisputed. Two things. In fact, you could tell that I'm single now. When I got the undisputed championship here, and I got the Mets poster, that was a birthday gift from my brother about 2 years ago. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, that's so nice. You gonna put it up in the storage unit?" So I was like,
Oh,
"What?" So I kept it. So I kept it in the frame, but I had it like out the way for a good 2 years. Yeah. And so when it was just me, I was like, "Suck it," put it on the wall. And the undisputed championship, I kept it in my closet when I bought it. And then I became single. I was like, it's gonna be out here now. So
dude, I'm actually bummed out. You keep it in the case. I think you need to let that baby be free. I think
oh
you know
man.
what. One of these days, I'm gonna get you a frame so you can hang it up and frame it.
So the holy trinity for me, for those of you who do collect belts, because the story was for me was I always wanted a belt, but to me I was like, oh, when I become successful, when I have this amount of money in the bank, when I get to a certain age, it'll be like my present to myself. And then I went to a couple of house shows and everyone just bought them like they were candy. And I go, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to get one that's severely discounted. And so I got the Undisputed Championship for like half price. But the holy trinity for me is definitely that one, the European Championship held by D'Lo Brown, and
Mhm.
the now former WWE United Kingdom Championship. If I get those three, I'll be content, bro. Uh,
Interesting. Why the United Kingdom Championship? That
I
one's
think
interesting to me.
it's people say it's busy, but I think it's
It looks good, but
yeah, it's the
yeah.
prettiest one. It has like the coat of arms of England. It looks like a like old heirloom. I don't like it as much when they swapped the WWE for the NXT UK. I don't understand why they did that, but the original Pete Dunne Championship, that's the one I defend on my C show on WWE Universe mode because it's that pretty.
Well, hey, if you bump up your stats, maybe you'll be an Intercontinental Champion someday.
You know
Uh,
what?
you know what's funny? I was always like, I don't want to get a belt. What am I going to do with it? I'm not really that into it. And then you brought it into the studio one day, and I still
Yeah.
have the picture of me holding it as my Facebook picture. I picked that. You let me hold that baby, and as soon as I held it, I was like, I get it, totally get it. I want one. I want one. I totally get it now.
Gotta hold like
Uh,
Flair, you know.
I, yeah. I think if we're talking Holy Trinities, if I can have mine, as you know, I'm a big gold belt guy. I've always been a fan of the big gold belt. I would probably also want the oh my god, it was just in my head and then it just slipped out of my the NWA World's Championship. I
the
love
one
that.
now.
I like the one now that Nick Aldis carries. I
Pretty
think
big.
it feels old and like, but in a good way. Both of those feel old in a good way to me. And then I guess the third one for me, I don't know what my third one would be. I guess maybe like the old school WWF World Title with the little blue globe in it. But
Okay.
because I guess I like the ones that feel classic. I like the ones that feel like they've got history and heritage to them. That's why I like the AEW titles, but because they're still new, they don't feel like they have that like
Right.
history to them yet.
Right.
Same with like Impact stuff, and that's why I like the older titles. Well, I'm not a fan of like a lot of the newer titles to have because they still look very new. Except for that new IC title. I like that new IC title. That new
I
IC
like
title
it, but
looks
it
really
doesn't
cool.
fit anything on the company. It's like by itself.
Yeah, I would love for them to start remaking all of them like that, or to start making all of them stretched out faces like the Fiends. so that whoever's the champion has their face stretched
just
out
Braun
over
Strowman's face. Just
oh, that'd be great. They put fake beard hanging off of it.
Oh. There's hair everywhere.
So yeah, that's pretty much our show. That's all we've got. I don't know if I'm gonna go back. I don't know if the stream has been better on my end. It's somewhere we're doing some technical stuff in the chat. If you could do us a favor and just let me know real quick if the stream is a little bit clearer on my end, if I'm not as pixelated, and if things are coming through clearer, that would be a big help to us as we get our stuff in place and getting things better. I think we can chat about getting the guests. We have some guests in mind, some people we want to reach out to and chat with. We'll chat up more about that. Let us know again on Twitter if you have any more people that you'd like us to interview. Haywood was really cool. He was able to tag a few folks. But if anyone else has any more, let me know. Otherwise, I guess, Flobo, let everyone know where they can find you online.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're already on my YouTube channel and page. I have 199 subscribers. Help a brother out, please. Flobito.com is the website. And if you guys want to support a creator like myself, 2 ways you can do that: buy a t-shirt at flobito.threadless.com, and the Patreon, new content, exclusive contents twice a week at patreon.com/FloboBoys. Thanks.
Yep. You can find me at jackcfarmer.com as well as at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. I also got a YouTube page started, but there's like one video on it, and I haven't figured out what I'm doing with that just yet. But you can also check me out, obviously, me and Flobo on AfterBuzz TV. We're both on the Raw After Show every Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on AfterBuzz TV. I do the AEW social media skim. It's I technically do it on Monday, but it gets posted on Tuesdays.
Oh, I didn't see it this week. Maybe I didn't check Tuesday.
Yeah, it should be up.
Okay.
It should be up now. We talk about, I talk about the people who Jericho thinks are underrated in AEW. And then I'm also on the AEW After Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I also do this show. This show is cool. Watch it, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, Derek, real quick, another shout out, go Hawks. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, do your best and be yourself.